everybody. Are we live streaming? We are. Excellent. Confirming welcome everybody to the annual general meeting or AGM of the Glenorchy City Council. I'm Beck Thomas, Mayor of Glenorchy and chairperson of tonight's AGM on this date, Monday the 4th of December 2023. Glenorchy City Council acknowledges the Muwinina people as the traditional owners of this land. While sadly the Muwinina people did not survive colonisation, we recognise all Tasmanian Aboriginal people as the original owners and continuing custodians of the land and waters of this island, Lutruwita, Tasmania. We pay our respect to Aboriginal elders past and present and commit to working for a city that welcomes and respects all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. Joining me here in chambers tonight is Alderman Russell Yaxley, Alderman Jan Dunsby, Councillor Harry Quick, Councillor Molly Kendall, Alderman Shane Alderton, Alderman Josh Cockshut, Alderman Stuart Slade, Alderman Stephen King and Council's General Manager Tony McMullen, as well as our directors and some council staff, and welcome to members of the public who are joining us this evening as well. For those of you who are joining us in person, please ensure you've provided your name and address at the registration desk as per the requirements of the Local Government Act for annual general meetings. The primary purpose of the AGM is to present Council's 2022-23 annual report and allow the electors present the opportunity to ask questions about it. Questions about any other matters will be taken on notice for the ordinary meeting of Council to be held on Monday, 18th of December 2023. Please, if you do have a question, please email that through by Sunday, 10th of December in order for it to be provided on the agenda for the 18th of December Council meeting. The annual general meeting also provides an opportunity for any elector present to put forward a motion for Council to consider at the next ordinary Council meeting. Under Tasmania's local government laws, a motion passed at this meeting is required to be considered at the next ordinary meeting of Council. To be clear, passing a motion at this meeting does not mean the motion is adopted by Council, only that Council will consider the motion at its next ordinary meeting on the 18th of December. At the AGM tonight, any elector for the Glenorchy City Council area can move or second motions, and any elector can vote on the motions put forward. Electors include all those who are enrolled to vote in Glenorchy local government elections. The General Manager will keep minutes of the meeting and they will be published in draft form on Council's website before being tabled for confirmation at our 2024 AGM. We will now move on to agenda item 2, which is apologies, and we have apologies from Deputy Mayor Sue Hickey this evening. Item 3 is confirmation of minutes. Do I have someone to move that the electors present confirm the minutes of the 5th of December 2022 AGM? Moved, Alderman Alderton. Someone to second, Alderman Dunsby. Any discussion, Alderman Alderton?
Yes, Mayor, as a attendee of the previous annual general meeting as a ratepayer and reading the contents of the minutes, I can confirm that they are true and correct.
Thank you, Alderman Alderton. Any further discussion of the minutes? No? Happy for me to put the motion to the vote, Alderman Alderton?
Yes.
Please raise your hand if you are for. Anyone can vote. That is carried. Item, anyone against the annual general meeting minutes for 2022? Oh, sorry, that is carried. Item 4, presentation of the 2022-23 annual report. We have a motion that the electors present at this annual general meeting note the tabling of the Glenorchy City Council annual report 2022-23. Do I have someone to move this as a motion? Move, Alderman Dunsby. Someone to second? Alderman Yaxley. Alderman Dunsby.
Thank you. I think the report is there in its entirety and I'm happy to throw it for any discussion or questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Dunsby. Any discussion of the annual report? No discussion? Well, I will speak briefly to the annual report and I'm happy to share some of the comments from my message from the Mayor that is contained within the annual report. Releasing our Glenorchy City Council annual report gives our community an opportunity to understand the decisions that Council made last financial year and as we continue to work to deliver results and outcomes for our municipal area. Although by their very nature annual reports are retrospective, they play a critical role in helping us evaluate our progress as we seek to achieve the goals mapped out in our strategic plan and examine the performance of the Council in delivering what the community wants and expects. This annual report is essentially the foundation we are seeking to build on and strengthen. this financial year and the next, as we work to create a dynamic strategy that supports our decision-making, resource allocation and community investment. This is the first annual report of the new council elected by the people of Glenorchy in 2022, and I can confidently say that both collectively and individually, we are determined to deliver the very best representation that we can to our community, a community that it continually grows, continues to change. Glenorchy is a growing city. We are seeing more demand for services and infrastructure than we have ever seen in the past, and we are doing everything we can to assess those needs and ensure we're now factoring them into our planning processes into the future. As a council, we accept there are challenges. We also accept our role to step up and meet these challenges to the very best of our ability. Accordingly, this council has taken the responsibility of ensuring that when its term ends in 2026, the Glenorchy City Council will have zero net debt and an operating surplus. As the annual report shows, this goal is a significant challenge against the backdrop of increasing costs and more people, quite rightly, seeking more services and more investment. But just because it might not be easy, that doesn't mean we shouldn't aim to make it happen. We believe it's important for Glenorchy to break its cycle of deficit budgets. By balancing the books, the council is in a much stronger financial position to invest in larger and more resource-intensive projects on behalf of our ratepayers. This annual report shows the council's commitment to getting on with the work that the community expects. I was particularly pleased that for the first time in a long time, the council fully expended its capital renewal program to ensure residents have the road and footpath infrastructure they need to go about their daily tasks. We also commenced and completed the first stages of a series of playground upgrades, which will progressively deliver exciting new recreation spaces for families right around our community, which are vital cogs in keeping people connected and active. The council is also continuing to take a proactive approach to early intervention programs to minimise antisocial behaviour and ensure our community is as safe as it can possibly be. In closing, I'd like to thank all of council's employees for their hard work in supporting the community and getting the job done. I look forward to continuing to work and deliver the strategy council has set itself to deliver the very best Glenorchy we can for the ratepayers and residents that collectively we serve. And I thank the General Manager and all the staff for their efforts in putting the annual report together as a snapshot of what we have achieved and delivered over the financial year 2022-23 and setting out our financials for that year. Any further discussion? Woman Dunsby, anything to close today?
Yes, I do actually. I can't tell you when it was. It had been well and truly more than 20 years ago. I was moved to come to a council annual general meeting. I had no idea what to expect. Turned up, got this document called the annual report, and I read it from cover to cover, and I found there was so much in there that I didn't know without reading that report. So I encourage everybody to read what's actually maintained within that report, even reporting around public health. It certainly enlightened me to understand some of the things that council did. Back in that time, there were people who were here and banging on the table and saying this council has this huge level of debt. We had $28 million level of debt at that time. We see this report now. That is currently not the case of this council. We've taken a very different view to how we operate and that we don't run with that debt sitting there. So what I saw more than 20 years ago is a very different council to what I see today. So I do encourage everybody to take the time to read this report. Skip the bits that you may find a bit boring, but I think you'll find most of it is quite enlightening. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Dunsby. I'll put the motion to the vote. Please raise your hand if you are for. And please raise your hand if you're against. That is carried. Moving on to agenda item 5, questions on notice, without notice, and motions on notice or without notice. So before we get into agenda item 5, I'll just provide an overview of the process to tell you how you, as an elector of the City of Glenorchy, can be involved. Please raise your hand to seek permission to address the meeting, and on invitation of myself as Chair, come forward and give your name and address before asking your question or moving your motion. If you move a motion, it must be seconded before you speak to it. If it is seconded, you'll have a period of 3 minutes to speak to the motion. Any other elector shall only speak on a matter or a motion once and for a maximum of 2 minutes, with the mover of a motion then having a brief right of reply to close debate. Once debate is closed, the motion will be put to the vote. A motion is passed by a majority of votes taken by a show of hands. Again, all electors present can participate in the vote or may choose not to if they wish. If you ask questions, they are to be put succinctly and in the form of a question, not a comment. Questions must be relevant to matters contained within the 2022-23 annual report. Otherwise, I will ask that they are provided on notice for response at the 18th of December Ordinary Council meeting. Each participant will be limited to 2 questions each and allowed 1 minute to ask your question, remembering this is question time, not time for commentary or debate. Please minimise your preamble to ensure fairness to everyone who wishes to ask a question. Questions must not be inflammatory, abusive, defamatory, contain a personal attack, or otherwise breach any rules of the meeting. Our meeting rules are fairly simple. We just ask that you are respectful in your behaviour and commentary and abide by any directions of myself as chairperson. As chairperson, I have a responsibility to maintain a safe environment for elected members and council staff. As a member of the public, you are responsible for ensuring your conduct adheres to these rules. I will not tolerate behaviour that contravenes these rules, and any person who behaves otherwise will be asked to leave the meeting. I appreciate your cooperation to ensure an orderly meeting. As Chair, I have determined that we will deal with the motions provided on notice first, then return to questions and motions without notice. So, item 6, we have a notice of motion from Mr. Paul Campton. Mr. Campton. Is Mr. Campton here? Would you like to come forward, Mr. Campton, please, and read your motion?
Thank you, Mayor. Paul Campton, Main Road, Claremont. That the Glenorchy City Council continues to support the Greater Glenorchy Plan, the Statement of Commitment on Housing and the Tasmanian Planning Scheme is in a residential zoning for 8 to 10 Main Road and refuse to support any development application or changes to the local provision schedule for non-residential use at that site.
Thank you, Mr. Campton. You have moved that motion, and I just want to note that given this item is to be considered by the Glenorchy Planning Authority at the meeting on the 13th of December, it would be inappropriate for elected members to participate on the vote on this motion. So you have moved the motion. Do I have someone to second the motion? Second, Mr. Kernke. Mr. Campton, you, if you wish, would have 3 minutes to address the motion.
Thank you, Mayor. There are many permitted and discretionary uses in an inner residential zone. 24-hour drive-throughs are not one of them. Whilst developers can apply for an amendment to allow for prohibited uses such as abattoirs, quarries, 24-hour drive-throughs, the Tasmanian Planning Scheme clearly indicates what inner residential zone is for. And that's to, and I quote, to provide for a variety of residential use or development that accommodates a range of dwelling types at higher densities. Further on, it says, for non-residential use that does not cause an unreasonable loss of amenity through scale, intensity, noise, activity outside of business hours, traffic generation and movement. Aldermen and councillors should represent the interests of ratepayers by firstly upholding the Tasmanian Planning Scheme, which embodies the amenity of residents. The scheme strictly prohibits such uses as 24-hour drive-throughs in inner residential zones. Secondly, councillors and aldermen can uphold Principle 1 for Claremont in the Greater Glenorchy Plan, where it says, and I quote, support further medium-density residential development within walking distance to the activity centre rather than identifying new retail or commercial development opportunities. And finally, aldermen and councillors can uphold your statement of commitment on housing where it says, and I quote, committed to facilitating access for our residents to a diversity of safe, livable, accessible and affordable housing options in our city. Moreover, end of quote, moreover, it was the council that changed the zoning for 8 to 10 to inner residential. Please uphold your own zoning scheme, plans and statement. In doing so, you will also represent your ratepayers by protecting their amenity. In your next meeting, we want you to refuse the amendment to the local provision schedule for 8 to 10 Main Road as it involves non-residential use. Please keep 8 to 10 as inner residential. This motion, in essence, is asking that no development application be supported that involves new amendments to the local provision schedule for 8 to 10 for prohibited uses in an inner residential zone. I ask ratepayers present to support this motion. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr Campton. Anyone else like to speak to the motion? No? Okay, well, are you happy for me to put the motion to the vote, Mr Campton?
Certainly, Mayor.
Yes, okay, I'll put the motion to the vote. Please raise your hand if you're for. Remembering we were abstaining from the planning authority motion, no, you're not? You wish to vote? It was the advice of officers quite clearly in the report that it could bring council into legal problems if we participate in the vote, given we are all planning authority members.
I thought since I wasn't on the planning authority that
We are all on the planning authority. We are all proxies, so it could cause legal issues for council if you vote, so. Sorry, yes, thank you. Sorry, can you please raise your hand if you're for? That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 29 in here, and I'll just wait advice from how many are in the other room. 4? 27. Quick maths. 49, 56, 4. And please raise your hand if you're against. I'll await advice from the other room if anyone is against. Someone's typing. None against, so the motion is carried. Moving on to item 7, notice of motion from Ms Pauline Elliott. Ms Elliott, would you like to come forward and read your motion?
My motion is that the council should defer highly contentious issues such as removing land designated for housing and changes to allow prohibited uses, or where there are 5 or more representations, defer this to the full council. Defer these matters.
Thank you. Ms Elliott, you have moved the motion. Again, the same principle applies I mentioned earlier in relation to elected members voting on this matter, given it will be considered by the GPA next Wednesday. Do I have someone to second this motion? Seconded, Mr Steenbergen. Ms Elliott, would you like to address the meeting?
Yes. Currently only 5 councillors are actively on the GPA. This means that over half of the elected representatives cannot represent the ratepayers, and so residents such as myself can feel disenfranchised in this process by not having the full council vote on development applications. We are mindful that elected members sit on the GPA and they need to impartially evaluate the development application. This in and of itself doesn't mean they cannot be our representatives prior to the GPA meeting, nor should they be silenced in communicating and engaging with their community. If all elected councillors needed to vote on highly contentious issues, such as the removing of land designated for housing and changes to allow prohibited uses, or where there are 5 or more representations, the councillors might be more informed and engaged with the process and with the ratepayers. There will also be a greater pool of expertise, views and experience in deciding contentious and complex issues. So in view of that, I would like to move my motion. Do I have to read it again?
No, that's fine. No need to read again. Thank you, Ms Elliott. Would anyone else like to speak to the motion?
Yeah.
Mr Steenbergen, would you like to come down?
I'll try my outdoor voice.
Okay, you try your outdoor voice.
No word for the microphone.
We'll, if you try, and we'll see if they can hear it in there.
Okay.
But you will have to speak very loudly.
Okay, this is my outdoor voice. Is that working?
No.
Hang on. We will await our advice.
They're just in the next room, maybe. Just in the next room.
In the mayoral reception area? No, so you'll have to come down, Mr. Steenbergen. Thank you. Alderman Dunsby was right.
Workshops, you can struggle with the city
Is he coming down?
Right.
Oh, we need to fix that, whatever that feedback is.
Number two, might not be able to at this point.
Yeah, I think it's the hearing loops, but for next time, we need to fix it. Mr. Steenbergen.
I'll keep this brief.
Thank you.
This motion is actually, first I'd like to know this is a policy. This is a motion to change council policy. This is not simply a motion to kill the McDonald's proposal. This is a change to council policy. And and I think it is a change that is very worthwhile considering. According to the report in the agenda, you get the impression this is simply a motion to kill the McDonald's proposal, but it is not. In fact, the item, the report is quite misleading for this agenda item.
The what's misleading, sorry, Mr. Steenbergen?
The report in the agenda for this item from council, the qualified advice, is quite misleading. It gives the impression that it is all about the McDonald's proposal, and it isn't. There's one small paragraph right at the end which actually addresses the motion. And I quote, well, I won't quote it, it's so short. It says the council has actually considered this in the past, but doesn't bother to give us the courtesy of when, where, or anything about that discussion. It says that the GPA has the power to determine all applications that come before it, but it doesn't say that all applications must go to the GPA. And this is a confusing issue, which is quite unclear, and I think it's about time we actually have this sorted out with the council report. And so my motivation is quite different to Pauline. I'm not here to kill McDonald's, although I may or may not agree with that. I want to have this issue documented clearly in a council report, so we know exactly where we stand.
Thank you, Mr. Steenbergen. Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak to the motion? Mr. College, please come forward.
My name is Ron College. I live at 14 Pascoe Avenue, Claremont. Back in June, I invited all the councillors to come out and have a look at the actual site. Half the councillors did, and of those half, only one is on the planning committee. So for no other reason, I would like to support this motion that the full council, including all those that came out to have a look at the site and see the traffic problems and the other problems we have, be considered. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. College. Any further discussion of the motion? Would you like to close debate, or are you happy for me to put the vote, Ms. Elliott? Okay, I'll put the motion to the vote. Please raise your hand if you are for. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32 in here. I will just await advice from how many for in the other room. Maybe there's a delay because it seems to take a while.
There is. There's like a 10-second delay.
28, which is 50, 64. Please raise your hand if you're against. No, there's not 60 people in there, so. The motion is carried, none against, the motion is carried. Item 8, notice of motion, Ms Angela Stirk, Glenorchy War Memorial Pool, please come forward, Ms Stirk.
And do I read the motion?
Yes, you move your motion, yep.
Yep, so the motion is that the Glenorchy City Council take necessary action to preserve the structural integrity of the current pool shell so that should funding for a redeveloped pool fail to be obtained, we will have the opportunity to repair the current pool, and that given the cost to ratepayers for demolition and remediation of the site, plus the cost of developing whatever else goes there, repair might be the best option and therefore shouldn't be ruled out as an option.
So what's here?
Thank you, Ms Stirk, so that's a little
And
bit,
then I noticed it was, condensed.
yes.
So the motion condensed is to take necessary action to preserve the structural integrity of the current pool shell so that if obtaining funding for a redeveloped pool failed, repair might be the best option for the current pool.
Yes, so you're happy with that as a condensed motion?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Do I have someone to second that motion? Second. Thank you, Ms Smith. Tracy Smith, seconded. Would you like to address the meeting, Ms Stirk?
Yes. So we know it's beholden on local government as per the Local Government Act to maintain assets, and also it stipulates that it's there to look after the health and welfare of its ratepayers. The expensive Lakers engineering report commissioned by the council asks that no tendering or demolition plans be undertaken based on the report without further investigation on page 4. Without a public meeting being given to ratepayers, which has been refused to be moved as a motion, Glenorchy residents will never know why the council have dismissed this repair as an option and instead pursued by the tender outline to look at redevelopment options for the pool. We know that many pools this age have been successfully maintained. There is no conclusive evidence to say repairing the Glenorchy pool will only give it another 5 years, as testing has not been undertaken. Many communities around Australia have worked out ways to manage and repair their pools, as in Victoria, Bendigo's Golden Square pool has done so. At the very most, $3 million to repair our pool, as stipulated in the Lakers report, is nothing compared to costs associated with demolishing the pool and remediating the site, building a $30 million new pool, which council has already stated, with $1 billion worth of assets already you can't maintain, or putting new recreational facilities there like cricket nets or netball courts, which is in fact a duplication of facilities already in Moona. We invite the council to think outside the box and see how other communities have maintained their assets, such as pools. The GCC has for the last 5 years at least been accruing interest on the deck sale funds. We now estimate that's over $500,000. There's enough there now to repair the pool and start the process to rejuvenate the asset. We also know that you have received federal government financial assistance via the local government grants, which has provided a source of funding this financial year of over $1 million for buildings and infrastructure. I therefore put forward the motion to maintain the integrity of the pool shell by filling it with water in the interim whilst deliberations continue about its future via the council's tender process currently underway.
Thank you, Ms Stirk. Would anyone else like to speak to this motion? No? Are you happy for me to put the motion to
Yes,
the vote?
please.
Okay, please raise your hand if you are for. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Someone at the back, 21. Thank you. I'll wait advice from the hands up in the other room. 27, 48 for. Please raise your hand if you're against. 0 in here. 0 against in the other room, so the motion is carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dirk. Moving on to item 9, notice of motion Sally Hill, Glenorchy War Memorial Pool. And I think we have a representative for Ms. Hill here to present this motion. So I think they may be in the other room, so we'll just await them coming through. Hello, thank you. Yes, please come forward, yeah.
I'm reading on behalf of Sally Hill. She's put forward 4 motions. Do I choose one or?
No, you can read them all as one, 4 parts to one motion if you would like, and please just remind us of your name.
My name is Natalie Larter.
Thank you, Natalie.
So Sally has put forward 4 motions. I'll read motion 1. Defer a decision on awarding the consultancy tender, which excludes the option of repair, maintaining existing pool, in order to explore all options. I'll carry on and read.
Yes, please, yeah.
Motion 2, organise further investigation and analysis of the main pool shell structure to extrapolate the expected life remaining of the current pool shell as recommended in the latest report. Motion 3, investigate the option of borrowing water from Clarence Pool, which is required to be emptied for critical maintenance, to help maintain integrity of the Glenorchy War Memorial Pool shell, as the latest report advised an empty pool shell will damage or destroy the pool. And motion 4, undertake urgent repairs in the latest report to enable the reopening of Glenorchy War Memorial Pool for the community.
Thank you, Ms. Larter. That is moved by you. Is someone to second this motion? Thank you, Ms. Bout. Would you like to speak to the motion further, Ms. Larter?
Motion 1. Motion 1 to defer the decision on awarding the consultancy. I've heard numerous times in the media reports and when attending the community yarn in October that the council will explore all options. However, the advertised tender for the pool consultancy fails to include maintenance repair of the existing pool as a possible option. This option has been taken away from the residents of the Glenorchy City Council area and also the wider Hobart community who are able to travel to Glenorchy to choose to swim in an outdoor pool over a closer indoor pool. Will the possibility of repair and maintenance be an actual option for the consultant to investigate and explore when they are selected? If this option is not in the scope of works, the latest report provided options for urgent repairs to enable ongoing operation of the pool, so it is currently still an option. I request deferring a decision on awarding the consultancy tender until this can be acknowledged and included in the consultant's scope.
Thank you. Would any further discussion? Anyone else like to speak to any of these motions? Do you have anything further to add?
Do I need to talk more about the other motions as well?
It's totally up to you. If you would like to, yeah, now's your opportunity.
Oh, so I'll just address all motions
Sure.
then. Okay, so motion 2, in reading the detailed inspection report of Glenorchy War Memorial Swimming Pool by Lakers Consulting, I noticed item 2 on page 9, the description of the main pool states, while on site there was no major damage cited on the pool shell as it had been well maintained and painted. In the rectification further investigation column, Lakers Consulting, the experts engaged in the Glenorchy City Council, recommends Glenorchy City Council to investigate the life of the concrete structure prior to undertaking extension work on pools older than 10 years. This work would involve sampling of the concrete at various depths determine the performance of the concrete and to extrapolate the life remaining of the pool shell. It is noted that this work is non-urgent. That is, the actual pool shell is not currently failing and no report or investigation has been undertaken or provided advising of any main structural issues to the shell of the main pool. I do note that the report highlights some urgent issues with the grandstand, with a pool plant located underneath, and while the pool plant is essential for the operation of the pools, maybe all we need is a new pool plant building to service the existing pools and to be designed to cater for the possibility of future indoor pool located behind the deep end grass area existing gravel car park. This would greatly reduce the cost and time frame to enable Glenorchy residents and the wider community of all ages to enjoy swimming and learn water survival skills, plus aim to cater in the future with all year round use for learn to swim and hydrotherapy. What a draw card that could be for Glenorchy to have the best of both existing outdoor pool and an indoor pool overlooking the outdoor pool and the view of the mountain. Motion 3 was to investigate the option of borrowing water from Clarence Pool. The pool has been emptied, Glenorchy Pool has been emptied of its water. The description for item 1 on page 8 to 9 of the Lakers report says generally the pool base slabs are only 150 millimetres thick, which means that when the pool is emptied and the groundwater is 200 millimetres above, the water in the pool or the floor of the pool, the base slabs are beginning to lift by hydrostatic pressure. When the base slabs in the pool begin to lift, they will generally destroy the expansion joints and sometimes the concrete panel will crack and fail. With the aim of not destroying the pool shell, more water is required in the Glenorchy Memorial Pool. As Clarence City Council will need to empty their chlorinated water down the drain or the sewer system, I think this is an option where reducing water usage by recycling or some of the water over to Glenorchy War Memorial Pool is worth investigating further. And motion 4, just to undertake urgent repairs of the pool, so to open to the community. As a lot of projects are planned and staged to minimise disruptions, I'm requesting that the items identified as urgent be completed to enable the pool facility to reopen. The pool has its busiest summer in January 2023 on record. At times, there were waiting lines to get in, and it was impossible to swim laps due to the amount of people in the pool. However, that didn't bother me, as seeing everyone having fun with their families and friends was fantastic. If the pool could be reopened, this would enable the community to grow programs offered at the pool for all ages and for the use of aquatic sports groups and schools. There are options to plan for improved access and facilities in stages, as the possibility for adding an external pool lane to provide a ramp entry, replacing the stairs without needing to replace the complete pool shell, which some older pools have achieved. It is noted that most of the land forming the current pool site is located in a flood-prone area, which for new buildings and major additions and alterations will need to involve the additional costly reports and designs. However, the option remains to repair for maintenance purposes with some staged future approval for works to improve access. That's all we have from Sally Hill.
Thank you. Thank you, Bernardo, on behalf of Sally Hill. Anyone further like to contribute to the debate on this motion? Are you happy for me to put the motion to the vote? Thank you. I'll put the motion to the vote. Please raise your hand if you're for. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28 and 29. 29 in here. I will await advice for how many for in the other room. is 19, so that's 48 for. Please raise your hand if you're against. None against in the other room, so the motion is carried. Thank you, Ms Larter. And would you like to stay there, because going back now to item 5, questions on notice. We did have a question on notice from you. Why has Mona reconsidered the need for the inclusion of their 3 sampling sites in the Derwent Estuary Recreational Water Quality Program? Thank you for that question. The answer is Mona had requested Council's assistance in collecting water samples. These samples were in addition to routine sampling under the Derwent Estuary Water Quality Program. The purpose of the sampling was to assess water quality for proposed swim events planned by Mona. Mona chose not to go ahead with these events and therefore no longer required sampling. So thank you, Ms Larter. Hopefully that answers your question.
Thank you.
Thank you. So back to item 5, questions without notice, motions without notice is where we go now. So are there any questions without notice for this evening? Ms Matt, would you like to come down? Sorry to do that to you.
I'm Marla
Oh, sorry, Ms Matt was on her way down to ask the question, but if she, with her indulgence, you can go first if you like, but or swap. Or you can come forward, Ms Matt. Yeah, sorry. Or do you want to go first?
Yeah, well, mine's quick, so.
Okay.
Okay. Hi, I'm Nicole Bowden, Bourneville Crescent, Claremont, and my motion question is, considering the sudden shock closure of our pool, I was wondering if council can probably initiate talks with Revive and St Giles, and also operate a shuttle bus to New Norfolk Pool, so that people such as myself who require and are recommended aquatic exercise can continue that, and also for the enjoyment of the community. Having had correspondence with Emilio this morning, who, what did I say, implied that our lane ropes have been lent to New Norfolk Pool so that the Northern Suburbs community can continue their aquatic exercise and learn to swim classes, which sadly hasn't been advertised anywhere by council. So, I mean, could we have a bit more detail on that, please?
Yep.
I think, we had, Glenorchy Council had an interest in the building of the hydrotherapy pool. And if we can access that even 3 hours every evening, rather than having to travel to New Norfolk or to Clarence, the aquatic centre is a write-off. I mean, I've tried every angle at the aquatic centre, and when you can't swim like an Olympic athlete, or when you can't be banged into for circumstances, medical circumstances, it's a nightmare. So if you could please undertake that, I'd be grateful.
Sure. Thank you, Ms Matt. So just to clarify, I think there are 3 questions there. 1, can council consider talks with Revive and St Giles to increase community access to the hydrotherapy pool?
After hours, probably, because they're pretty booked out, I think.
Okay, yep. Can council consider a shuttle bus to the Derwent Valley pool? And can we have more detail on the
Why our
lane
lane ropes
ropes.
have been lent
Yep.
to New Norfolk Council
Yep.
under this proviso, but we know nothing about it.
Okay, so happy to take those 3 questions on notice and come back to you with a response for the 18th of December meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms Crew.
Marla Crew for Naval Place, Glenorchy. Considering that the Glenorchy War Memorial Pool has been such an emotive and divisive subject, why has council not highlighted this matter in its survey? It smacks of disdain for the sentiments of the people of Glenorchy. I move that this subject be highlighted in the annual Future Direction Survey 2024 to 25. Alternatively, hold a referendum in this regard.
So, Ms Crew, is your question, why has council not highlighted the pool in its Future Direction Survey?
Yes.
And can council include this in its survey for 2024-25?
Yes.
Sure. I'm happy to take those on notice for response at the 18th of December meeting.
Right, well, I'm actually moving that we either include that or alternatively hold a referendum in this regard. And I have some comment on that if you'd like.
Okay, so you want to move a motion rather than ask that as a question?
Yes.
So you want to both ask a question, why has council not highlighted the pool in the future direction survey? And to move a motion that?
I move a motion that this be highlighted in the annual future direction survey 2024-25. Alternatively, hold a referendum in this regard.
So the motion is that the pool be highlighted in future direction survey 24-25, or that council hold a referendum
Yes.
in this regard. Okay, that's moved. Marla Crew, do I have anyone to second that motion?
We couldn't really hear it.
Okay, so the motion is that the pool be highlighted in council's future direction survey 2024-25, or that council hold a referendum in this regard.
I'll second that.
You happy to second? Seconded Nicole Bout. Would you like to address the meeting in 3 minutes on that motion, Ms. Crew?
The matter of the War Memorial Pool has to be considered in its individual capacity and not be included in the portfolio of sporting facilities and recreational facilities. The pool is a vital, The pool is a vital facility for the health and recreational benefit of the people. The matter of profitability ought not to be used as an excuse for selling off the site or for alternative use. Numerous proprietors of pool building businesses have indicated that the amount of $30 million is far in excess of their estimation. The community have indicated that they are in favour of the two pool action groups on Facebook employing an independent assessor at our own cost to inspect the pool. We trust the council has no objection to this action. Said assessors will utilise their own insurers in respect of public liability, thereby absolving council.
Thank you. Thanks. So that's moved and seconded. Do anyone else wish to speak to the motion?
Mayor, at the Women Arts Centre, you did imply that representatives could attend the site to inspect. Is that still, do you still stand by that?
That's something that we would have to discuss operationally, so I suggest liaising with our Director of Infrastructure and Works on that one. I know you've had some email correspondence today you mentioned, so that's probably the best course of action to continue there on that one. Thank you. If there's no further discussion, I'll put the motion to the vote that the pool be highlighted in the Future Direction Survey 2024-25, or that council hold a referendum in this regard. Please raise your hand if you are for. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in this room. 5, 4. Please raise your hand if you are, oh, hang on. Any 4? We need some waiting music. Can we sing a song, Jen?
I don't see.
4 is 20, so that's 25, 4. Please raise your hand if you're against. 1, 0, so that is carried. Thank you, Ms. Crew. Okay, any further questions without notice or notices of motion without notice? Well, not notice of motion, motions without notice. Ms. Bryan.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'll read the motion first. Okay. The motion is that the council review its current decision in relation to the closure of the Glenorchy War Memorial Pool at the end of the Belgravia contract applicable in September 2020 to September 2022. The contract included an option for extension, and that's in the annual report, page 59. The second part of the motion to resolve to carry out the four urgent repairs as detailed in the latest report, using funds from the deck sale as promised for community projects. Resolve to continue the project to scope a more substantial review of the pool, including a chemical analysis of the pool shell and concrete, to accurately determine the life expectancy of the pool, and that was recommended in the report. Resolve to undertake a review of the pool's wide-ranging, and this is something that's not been addressed, wide-ranging health and social benefits to the whole population in this municipality and southern Tasmania, and the impact the closure of the pool is having on the community without local access to water-based recreation. Resolve to develop and implement plans and strategies to continue to provide a public pool at this site in Glenorchy to cater for the long-term requirement for water-based recreation whilst leaving the pool operating in the meantime. Resolve to formulate and submit well-researched comprehensive applications for state and federal funding, including input from state and federal health departments of health, learn to swim supportive persons and organisations such as Shangold, AMBE, Swim Australia, Royal Life Saving Australia, and there are many more. Okay, that's the motion. I'll just quickly go through something around that.
Well, hang on, I just need someone to second that as a motion before you speak to it. Seconded, Ms Rose. Ms Bryan, you have 3 minutes to address the meeting.
Thank you. This motion has been brought forward to Council due to the urgency, concern and anxiety that is being felt by everyone in this community due to the sudden loss of access to their Glenorchy War Memorial Pool. An immediate and proactive repair solution should be a major priority for the Council. The pool cannot be left in its current deteriorating state while government funding applications are made. There is a long wait for a response, and then a lengthy time is taken to develop plans before any work is ready to start on upgrading this important public amenity. It will be difficult to obtain funding in the current economic circumstances, and in addition, we are experiencing a lack of government support for providing recreational water-based facilities. This could be a lengthy process that will potentially take years. In the interim years, the community desperately needs the pool to be repaired as recommended by the experts in the Lakers report. That report did not recommend pool closure. The funds from the sale of the deck should be made available for the repairs. Also, the Lakers expert advised Council should obtain a chemical analysis of the shell and concrete to determine the true life expectancy of the pool to ensure Council and Aldermen are properly informed when making critical decisions about its future. The 50-metre outdoor pool is the only one of its kind in southern Tasmania. It has historical significance to this community. Beside the 50-metre lap pool, there are 2 wading pools, a 60-metre fun water slide, shaded seating areas, volleyball court, children's party room and kiosk. The community needs continued access to this much-needed pool and surrounds for physical and mental health relief, preventative health reasons, essential learn to swim activities for our children in our municipality where there are no beaches or alternatives. The pool provides a place for mandatory school swimming programs and carnivals, social family and friend activities, and plain community social cohesion and enjoyment. This week, there are predictions of an unusually hot summer this season and beyond. We are a large city without critical community swimming and water safety promoting facilities. Swimming is the most important recreational activity for the largest portion of the population. It is the best activity for idle youth needing council facilities to occupy them and keep them out of trouble. Our swimming pool needs to remain public with affordable fees. It must be supported by the council and remain a public facility and not privatised with unaffordable fees. The aquatic and Clarence swimming centres do not have adequate car parking to cater for demand. It appears these pools will be closed for maintenance for weeks over the hottest part of summer, which is a further disastrous news to the public. The motion outlines so many critical reasons why we need our pool to be repaired and reopened as a matter of urgency. Community members are asking aldermen to please consider the human side of their decision. That's what I'm on about. You must consider what this is doing to the community, the effect it will have on these people and our children and youth. And the detrimental effect that it's having, and your legislative responsibility to provide for the health and well-being of the people you represent. Okay?
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak to the motion? Ms. Rose, would you like to speak to this motion?
Yes, please.
Come forward. You have 2 minutes to address the meeting.
Thank you. I seconded Janice's motion. I'd like to speak in support of some of the considerations. The first thing I'd like to speak about is that it's a war memorial facility. We have a World War I monument on council lawns. This monument facility honours soldiers who fought in all wars. So it has historically significant to our community and our ancestors who fought in all those wars, including current wars. It's historically significant also because back in 1960, the civic-minded community of Glenorchy, they all came together as one. There were 70 businesses and organisations. There was RSL clubs. There was Country Women's Association, swimming groups, individual families, and also governments. They had stalls outside their homes, and yes, that's an emotional thing, and it means a lot to us that our ancestors did that. A family raised $50 by selling fresh produce and items from their local store out Rosetta, the Derrick family. And there was an article in the paper about that at that time, and I think that's really special because £50 was a lot of money in those days. It's an essential facility to support physical and mental health of our community, our disabled, our sports people, our children to learn to swim, interact with others, coming together of cultural communities, which is really important and is part of the goals of our council. Swimming carnivals, children learning to swim, children learning about winning and fighting to win, children learning about losing and what it is to lose and how to do it gracefully, children learning how to handle their pocket money, they're learning to grow from teenagers. It's keeping crime out of our city, especially in summer. It's going to get very hot. I've been spending a lot of time on council lawns obtaining signatures. I've been walking around talking to a lot of the community, and I'd really love to see councillors doing that as well, approaching people and asking them how they feel about our pool, because a lot of people are saying they want it fixed. They want it there to be used by the community. A lot of people are heartbroken, and it's affected their health and mental state already. The people who are fighting for this pool, the people in, say, the poor groups, they're suffering too. And I personally suffer when I hear comments like, we think with our heart and not our heads. And it was made clear by Jackie Lambie in Parliament that that comment was hurtful for us. It was like a slap in the face. Yet it keeps on getting said during council meetings. And I just wonder, you know, do you understand what sort of effect that has on the community? The city has 51,000 people in it. With global warming and unreliable buses, and we're not close to beaches, and a lot of people are in the low economic areas, and the elderly, they don't have a car. They need it. They need a pool within walking distance from their home or driving distance. I spoke to Shane Gould personally, and she's got a doctorate in outdoor swimming pools and the use of swimming pools, and she's offered expert advice to our community. And she told me, you know, we need a pool within 7 minutes of driving, or 15 minutes of walking from people's homes. It's all been studied. And I ask you today to actually consider her questions that I provided on the 22nd of September and use that as part of your investigation, please. I'd like to move a motion to that effect after I finish this statement. So I have been meeting a lot of people, and daily there's altercations outside council, and I've met homeless people, I've met people who don't have access to computers, I've met people who can't write their name, and those people haven't got their voice, they haven't got a home address, they've got no fixed address. I'd like councillors to do what they do when they're going to be elected to council, and talk to the community about this important pool. Shane Gould, so last of all, I'd like to say that Shane Gould is 1972 Woman of the Year, Sportsperson of the Year. She's a multi-gold medalist. She won gold medals at the 72 Olympics in Munich, and she's provided expert advice to the people who are fighting to save our pool, to our group. And we want to stop this finger pointing, which Shane Alderson pointed out. We don't want to point our fingers at you, and we don't want you pointing our fingers at us. We'd like it if you come together and we go through those questions that Shane Gould provided, and I provided a copy to council, and please use that as part of your investigation into what needs to be done for our swimming pool. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms Rose. So, Ms Bryan, I think there were 5 points to your motion, is that right? 5 points to your motion, just to clarify. So that is what we're about to put to the vote. 6 points to Ms Bryan's motion. So you're happy for me to put that to the vote, Ms Bryan? So I'll put Ms Bryan's motion to the vote. Please raise your hand if you are for. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 in here. I'll await advice on how many in the other room. Thank you for your patience. (17 for), 33 for. Any against? Motion is carried. There were none against in the other room. Any other questions without notice or motions without notice this evening? Ms Rose? I just have to ask you to come forward if you push for the microphone.
This motion I spoke about when I was talking about Janice's motion, and that was, will the council undertake to use the questions provided by Shane Gould, which was emailed to you on around the 22nd of September, about the questions relating to a swimming pool and the true value of a swimming pool, and use that as part of the process for finding solutions for the pool. And it'd be really great if the state and federal government could come on board with this and see just how important the Glenorchy pool is to the Glenorchy community.
Okay, so would you like to propose that as a question? Will the council undertake to use the questions provided by Shane Gould re the value of the swimming pool as part of the process to investigate the future of the pool?
Yes.
As a question rather than a motion?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, we will take that on notice for answering at the next council meeting
Thank
on the
you very
18th of
much.
December. Thank you, Ms Rose. Any further questions without notice or motions without notice this evening? There being, I'll just confirm there's none in the other room. Thank you, Ms Smith. Come forward, Ms Smith.
This is probably just a question.
Mm-hmm.
My name's Tracy Smith. I'm just wondering if council would consider having a public meeting with the community to discuss the pool. It could be a motion that I put forward, or it could be a question. I don't know how I go about that.
Yep, we're happy to answer it as a question at the next council meeting. Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
No problem.
I mean, there is so much frustration in the community, and I think it would be really quite a positive move on your part to actually call a meeting to discuss what's happening with the pool and what you are planning to do with it, and maybe what you've discussed with Knowledge Asset Management, what your brief was to them, and then their brief to Lakers on their report. But I think it would be very, it'd be a great starting point for us all.
Sure. Thank you, Ms Smith. Great. Thank you. Okay, if there's no further questions or motions this evening, then item 10 is meeting closed. So, do you have a question?
No, I think it's
Oh, I don't think we need a proceed for motion. We will close the meeting at 7:09 p.m. Thank you very much to members of the public who have come in to council chambers for the meeting this evening and for your participation in our annual general meeting. Thank you to council staff who have worked to make the annual general meeting happen, and thank you to members of the public who have joined us online this evening. Of course, thank you to my fellow elected members as well for being here at the meeting, and we will reconvene next Wednesday, the 13th of December, for a Glenorchy Planning Authority meeting to consider the development application for 8 to 10 Main Road, Claremont, at 3:30 p.m. here in council chambers, Wednesday, the 13th of December, and then we'll be back Monday, the 18th of December, for our final council meeting for the year at 3:30 p.m. here in chambers. So we hope to see you another couple of opportunities before the end of the year, a busy end to the year for us here at council. If we don't see you, have a very safe and happy holiday, festive season, and excellent 2024, and good night.